WESH 2 News starts now with breaking news.
And that breaking news, the U.S. Coast Guard says 10 people on board of a small plane that went missing in Alaska are dead after crews found the plane.
WESH 2's Stuart Moore is here. And Stu, this is the third major U.S. air mishap in a little more than a week.
That's right, Jesse. This crash comes after a commercial plane and Army helicopter collided in Washington, D.C., killing 67 people, and a medical plane crashed in Philadelphia, killing 7 others. The single-engine plane, commuter plane, was found on sea ice as crews were searching by helicopter. It was traveling to Nome around 2:30 Thursday afternoon. Officials lost contact with it less than an hour later, about 30 miles southeast of Nome. The plane was 12 miles offshore. There was light snow and fog at the time. Coast Guard officials say they are unaware of any distress signals. Alaska State Troopers say all 10 people on board were adults, and the flight was a regularly scheduled commuter trip.
Part of that radar analysis showed that at around 3:18 p.m. yesterday afternoon, this aircraft experienced some kind of event which caused them to experience a rapid loss in elevation and a rapid loss in speed. What that event is, I can't speculate to.
Most Alaska communities are not connected to the state's main road system, and planes are often the only option for travel of any distance in rural areas, particularly in the winter. The region is prone to sudden snow squalls and high winds. It is still, though, unclear what led up to this crash. We'll, of course, continue to update you as we learn more. Michelle, back to you.
All right, Stu, thank you. New at 10, Marcus Jordan, the son of NBA legend Michael Jordan, pleaded not guilty to drug possession and resisting arrest.
I'm Marcus Jordan. I'm Michael Jordan's son. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to get home, and I made a wrong turn. Okay? And clearly, we would just like to get our car off of the train tracks.
Maitland's police found Jordan's Lamborghini stuck on SunRail tracks early Tuesday morning. Officers say that he smelled like alcohol, was slurring his speech, and insisted that he was just lost. They add that he was also uncooperative. Investigators say Jordan ended up on the tracks after speeding away from a traffic stop in Seminole County.
Governor Ron DeSantis announced an agreement today with the Department of Homeland Security that will give new powers to state troopers to stop illegal immigration. The agreement deputizes the nearly 2,000 FHP troopers in the state to act in nearly identical fashion to ICE agents. We've already seen local law enforcement rounding up undocumented immigrants in Central Florida. This will be an additional step to allow troopers to detain, arrest, interrogate, and deliver people in their custody to DHS.
This process of preparing charging documents ahead of time for the review of ICE officials will allow for speeding up the deportation process and the quicker removal of dangerous illegals already detained.
The governor says elected sheriffs and police chiefs under the direction of their city commissions will also have the ability to sign agreements with DHS to deputize officers for immigration duties.
And the Farm Workers Association of Florida is responding to the governor's directive. They say many migrants are living in fear. Parents are afraid of sending their kids to school, or they're afraid of going to work, fearful that they won't come home. The association recognizes that fear and is telling everyone not to do anything that they don't feel comfortable with. They say that they're telling migrants to know their rights and that racial profiling is real.
It doesn't matter if you are a citizen or not. You're going to have to be careful because they've detained citizens. They've detained people with workers' permits, residents, and they've even deported some of these people who have the legal right to be here.
The association says migrants have the right to remain silent until they have a lawyer present, and their kids should not speak to anyone asking for information either. Even if they are documented and speak, the association says they could jeopardize anyone who is with them.
State officials say new immigration policies could have a big impact on Florida's population. A state panel decided to hold off on revising population projections this week due to potential effects from new federal and state immigration policies. The conference last year projected Florida would have about 23.3 million residents in 2025, with the number growing to about 24.8 million in 2030 and nearly 26 million by 2035. Meantime, the Defense Department is planning to send 1,500 more active duty troops to the U.S.-Mexico border, and that would bring the total number to about 3,600. No word yet on when this next group will deploy.
More than 120 migrants were flown from Miami to Guatemala. After the plane landed on Thursday, the migrants were processed and loaded onto buses and then driven away. Just this week, Guatemala announced a deal to accept deportees from other countries and then transport migrants back to their home countries.
New at 10, a judge denied a new trial request for a man convicted of killing 3 friends, including a TikTok star, in a crash. Devin Perkins' lawyer argued his former attorney's questioning of an EMT about the smell of marijuana from Perkins opened the door to previously inadmissible evidence. The state maintained their focus was not on marijuana, but Perkins driving more than 100 miles an hour at the time of the crash. Kyle Moser, Ava Fellerman, and Alex Dolan, known as TikTok as Allie Spice, were killed. Perkins faces up to 30 years in prison.
The Marion County teen who pleaded guilty to beating and raping a 91-year-old woman will serve 25 years in prison. The judge showed mercy as Jesse Stone faced up to life in prison. He'll also serve 30 years of sex offender probation after his release. Deputies say Stone knew his victim. Stone's grandmother told the judge that his mother left him when he was 5 years old. She said most of the years she took care of him, he was good, but said he grew angry in recent years.
I said to him, what is going on? Why are you behaving like this? I don't get it. And he says, why does my mother hate me so much?
She said she eventually learned that Stone was watching pornography, and prosecutors say that he watched porn involving elderly adults before the attack. The next step in Stone's fate is the decision on whether to place him in a facility with people his own age or in a prison with convicted adult felons.
Looking ahead, Orlando city leaders will meet next week about a proposed expansion to SunRail.
It will extend service to Orlando International Airport and eventually add weekend service. WESH 2's Tony Atkins is joining us live tonight. And Tony, the city is part of a team effort to make this happen.
Well, Michelle, just last week, Seminole County, they voted to pitch in $500,000 for FDOT to do a study to potentially expand the SunRail service throughout the county. So next up is the city of Orlando. They're set to meet on Monday to help to discuss their potential contribution to this study, which would be $500,000. Again, they are set to meet on Monday. I'm covering Orange County live in Winter Park. Tony Atkins, WESH 2 News.
All right, Tony, thank you. Still ahead, back to the drawing board to solve flooding issues in Volusia County.
The idea is on the table after the county shot down a building moratorium.
Plus, the governor's announcement that Florida home insurance prices are coming down caught many by surprise. Who may actually see a decrease and who might not? Marquise.
It looks like the visibility is falling across 2 of our major interstates here in Central Florida as patchy fog begins to settle in. I'll let you know how long this nuisance will last and also tell you about some weekend warming temperatures coming up after the break.
As we wrap up Severe Weather Awareness Week, we're highlighting a threat we see when it gets hot and dry outside.
First warning meteorologist Marquise Mita is here now with how to keep your home and your family safe during extreme heat. Marquise.
Well, with Severe Weather Awareness Week coming to an end, it's important that we highlight the warming temperatures that we see here in Central Florida. In fact, throughout the year 2023, heat-related deaths were the leader among weather-related causes, with 207 of them just over the course of the last 2 years. Now, over the last 5 years, Florida has seen an increased average in temperatures, and the Florida Climate Center has indicated a consistent upward trend. In 2024, Central Florida experienced noticeably high temperature spikes. In fact, in Orlando during the summer months of June, July, and August, the average afternoon high for each individual month fell within the 3 warmest for each specific month. And in 2023, we observed the warmest year on record. Now, the last 3 summers here in Central Florida all cracked the top 10 for the warmest temperatures that we've seen on average, with them spiking in 2024 through June, July, and August. In between 2017 and 2021, Florida has reported approximately 150 related heat deaths per year. ranking it 6th nationally. Now, these fatalities can be attributed to heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and also heat stroke and increased wildfire threats. Now, what you can do to stay safe from heat includes staying informed and monitoring your local weather forecasts and advisories. Make sure you hydrate. I can't stress that enough. You need to drink plenty of water, even if you're not thirsty, and limit outdoor activities during peak heating hours. You want to check in on vulnerable individuals as well, ensure that the elderly, children, and those with health conditions are safe and also cool. Severe Weather Awareness Week does serve as a reminder of the diverse weather threats that Floridians face. And while hurricanes and storms can capture headlines, it's heat that remains a persistent and often underestimated danger. Now, we do have near record-setting numbers that lie ahead of us next week, and I'll be taking a closer look at that coming up in just a few short moments.
All right, Marquise, thank you. And you can check out all of our Severe Weather Awareness Week coverage on WESH.com and download the WESH 2 News app to get the first warning about any severe weather in your area.
New tonight, a real estate firm predicts Orlando could see a spike in rent by the end of the year. WESH 2's Gail Pascal-Brown talked with one of the company's leaders who says it's all about supply versus demand. Berkadia reports there's about 10,000 units available for the more than 60,000 new residents expected to move into the area. Governor Ron DeSantis announced earlier this week some homeowners could see insurance rate cuts, but not everyone will benefit. Rates are dropping on Florida's East Coast, but homeowners on the Gulf Coast will likely see prices go up. Insurance experts predict an average increase of about 6.5% for Citizens Insurance customers in Southwest Florida.
For many, many years, the East Coast has had extremely high rates. They've had, fortunately, less storm and hurricane activity in recent years.
The changes come after Hurricane Ian, which led to soaring rates on the Gulf Coast. As far as car insurance, Geico, Progressive, and State Farm have announced rate decreases between 6 to 10%.
After Volusia County officials rejected a proposal to temporarily ban new development in the county, they are now considering a new set of proposals. In a special meeting set for Tuesday, Chair Jeff Brower says that they hope to make changes to local ordinances to help with all the drainage issues. One ordinance will address where and how retention ponds are built. Another could make the county one of the first in the state to require development that preserves more of its green spaces.
That's probably will be the biggest debate, and then whether or not low-impact development should be voluntary, mandatory, and should it come with incentives.
Other solutions that will likely be discussed include looking into not building on wetlands. County leaders say they expect a large turnout at Tuesday's meeting.
Bringing in first warning meteorologist Marquise Vito. Marquise, fog and heat still going to be the name of the game.
Yeah, I feel like a broken record here. I've been saying the same thing day after day. The thing is, the fog, it's already moving in tonight, but temperatures were only getting warmer as we move across the weekend and into the work week. So hotter weather does lie ahead. In fact, we could be flirting with some record-breaking numbers by Wednesday and next Thursday still to come as we move across your work week. But the fog is the headline that we're experiencing at the moment. We'll take you out to Ocala, where we do have some fog off in the distance. Clouds are beginning to grow as well, but notice this, your temperature and your dew point are identical, which means that your relative humidity sits at 100%. Got a bit of a breeze coming in from the west, so if you're across I-75 currently, that west coast breeze is pulling in the Gulf Coast moisture. Across I-95, it's an east coast breeze. That's why you see the visibility down to less than a statute mile if you're in Titusville, and we'll likely see that visibility continue to fall as the evening does progress. Temperature-wise, we're actually showing 64 in the Villages, 63 in Wildwood. You're back in the upper 60s in Orlando, and you'll likely cool down to the lower 60s before the night is said and done. But as we take a look at the relative humidity as a whole, well, we're seeing a lot of 90s and 100% values here. In fact, across Ocala, where we have that visibility restriction, 100% relative humidity, New Smyrna Beach, similar numbers there, Bithlo, Titusville, so that east coast breeze, especially if you're along the Atlantic coast, that'll prove to pull in some moisture as the night goes on. We can see visibility fall down to below half of a statute mile as we kick off the morning on Saturday. And of course, as temperatures rise throughout the day, the fog will lift, but we will likely have a foggy start to your morning. Afternoon highs, once the sunshine reveals itself, Those will be back in the upper 70s all the way into the middle of the 80s. So not a bad way to start off the weekend if you're a fan of sunny skies and warmer weather. Those looking forward to the launch don't have any weather restrictions. In fact, we have a 95% probability that will be green to go for our Falcon 9 launch taking place starting at 1:23. Overall, though, as we mentioned, we're getting warmer across the weekend. Both days are pretty much identical as we start off foggy on Saturday. Similar fog chances remain in the forecast on Sunday with highs of 84 degrees in the afternoon. And in the work week, the reason for our warm-up is all thanks to this system of high pressure. Watch as it rises towards the north and the east. It's keeping the rain showers away from us here in Central Florida, but it's also going to reorientate your winds. So with that southerly orientation, we'll see those temperatures actually move into the mid and eventually the upper 80s still to come. Still a gorgeous looking weekend. Close to records on Monday, 84 degrees there. And as we move across the work week, this will offer some relief from the heat. Thursday into Friday, that's when our temperatures are likely going to shift. We also see a chance for some showers coming our way as well. So here's how the numbers stack up. 83 on Saturday, 84 Sunday. Similar numbers on Monday after the Super Bowl, of course. And then as we move into Wednesday and Thursday, these are the two warmest days of your work week forecast. Rain showers, though, cool you down into Friday. Look to drop back into the low 80s.
New at 10, Netflix is shelving a 6-part documentary on Prince. A company in the late singer's estate released a joint statement saying they will not move forward with the project. There were reports the estate was unhappy with the series, claiming there were factual errors. The estate is now working on a different documentary, which will include exclusive content.
Also new tonight, President Trump announced plans to gut the existing board of trustees at the Kennedy Center. The president said he's also removing the board's chairman, billionaire philanthropist David Rubenstein, and appointing himself as chairman. Rubenstein is an ally of former President Biden. According to its website, the Kennedy Center is the nation's cultural center with the objective to invite art into the lives of all Americans and ensure it represents the cultural diversity. Presidents appoint members to the board on a rolling basis.
One of the largest pop culture conventions in the country is happening right now at the Orange County Convention Center. MegaCon has something for everyone. Whether you're a fan of anime, sci-fi, or comic books, or all three, the convention brings together fans of all ages to dress up as their favorite characters and meet some of the artists or actors that brought them to life. Stars like Jude Law, Mel Gibson, and Ron Howard are there. We heard from one family spending the day together, taking in all the excitement on the showroom floor.
It's very family friendly. It's a little overwhelming with the stroller, but she's loving looking around at all the cosplays and the art.
And taking pictures in front of all the characters and props and stuff.
It's a fun for the family, for sure.
Yeah.
Tickets are still available for families if you're looking to go this weekend. MegaCon continues through Sunday.
Advertisers are paying record amounts to show off their brands during the Super Bowl.
With traditional television losing viewers to streaming, we find out why companies are still willing to shell out big bucks for the big game.
Plus, a new push to protect seniors in nursing homes. What state lawmakers and law enforcement want installed that could help when it comes to allegations of abuse.
Big.
No, this is bigger than big.
What is happening?
It's happy hours on CW18. That's what's happening.
To that I say kaboom!
Who wants to get their shelled on?
Let's do this.
What's up, my nerd diddle? That's hilarious.
Get ready for laughs, and even bigger laughs. CW18's Happy Hours. Weeknights starting at 5, only on CW18.
So you're in?
Hell yeah, I'm in.
The Big Bang Theory. Weeknights at 7, only on CW18.
Local, live, late breaking. WESH 2 News on CW18 starts now.
Thank you for staying with us tonight.
Let's get you caught up on our top stories. Governor Ron DeSantis announced with the Department of Homeland Security to give new powers to FHP troopers to stop illegal immigration. It'll allow troopers to detain, arrest, interrogate, and deliver people in their custody to DHS. Elected sheriffs and police chiefs under the direction of their city commissions will also have the ability to sign the same agreements.
The Marion County teen who pleaded guilty to beating and raping a 91-year-old woman will serve 25 years in prison. The judge showed mercy as Jesse Stone faced up to life in prison. He'll also serve 30 years of sex offender probation. Now, the next step is the decision on whether to place Stone in a facility with people his own age or in prison with convicted adult felons.
A real estate firm predicts Orlando could see a spike in rent by the end of the year. Berkadia says Orlando will see the third highest rent growth in the country. The firm predicts demand will outweigh the supply, and they say a possible solution is streamlining the process of developing more affordable housing.
There is a new effort to protect seniors in nursing homes.
A Florida lawmaker is proposing a bill to install cameras in their bedrooms. Todd Goodyear with the Brevard County Sheriff's Office says these could help the patient and the facility. It would give a resident or their guardian the right to record video, audio, or both without resistance from the facility. And the cost would be fronted by the resident or their family. And if they had a roommate, they would need their consent as well. It could also assist with investigations if there are allegations of abuse.
Anytime we have evidence, it's helpful to us. So the more evidence that we can have in a case gives us a bigger picture of what happened. So it would be a bonus to us.
The bill still has a long way to go before becoming an actual law, but its purpose is meant to protect all parties.
A Central Florida lawmaker wants to strengthen the penalties for animal cruelty. Just this week, police found 17 dogs, including 10 puppies, locked inside of a hot trailer in Ormond Beach. Halifax Humane Society CEO Sean Hawkins says that he has seen an increase in animal abuse in the community. A new bill filed this week would increase penalties for anyone convicted of animal cruelty towards a domestic animal. Another bill would require FDLE to post the names of those convicted of animal cruelty on their website.
We see far too often the animals abused and outright neglected, and would support any measure to increase the penalties against people inflicting harm on animals.
Both proposals will be discussed in the upcoming legislative session, and if passed, the first law would take effect immediately and the other would take effect in July.
Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez has been appointed as the interim president at Florida International University. It's expected to happen February 17th. Governor DeSantis will have to appoint a new lieutenant governor. Nunez received bachelor's and master's degrees from FIU, and she was elected lieutenant governor in 2018 after serving 8 years in the Florida House. Nunez has worked for hospital systems in South Florida and as an adjunct professor and advisor at FIU.
This combination of professional experience and an extensive network in South Florida and Tallahassee that makes Lieutenant Governor Nunez an ideal leader to help transition FIU into the future.
Governor DeSantis says he supports the appointment, but it drew opposition from a series of speakers, mostly students, who expressed concerns about Nunez's politics.
A state lawmaker has proposed an amendment for a 16-year term limit in the legislature. The amendment filed Thursday would let lawmakers serve 8 years in the House and then 8 years in the Senate. Lawmakers will consider the measure in the upcoming legislative session, which starts on March 4th. The Justice Department has agreed to give 2 days' notice if it releases the names of FBI employees who worked on January 6th cases. This comes as FBI agents and their union are suing the DOJ, saying that they fear for their safety should their identities be made public. Employees are worried the list could be handed over to either the White House or DOJ, saying that increases the likelihood that their names will become public. The FBI has already provided the names to the DOJ, which says it has no intentions of releasing the list publicly.
Meantime, the State Department has formally told Congress it plans to sell more than $7 billion in weapons to Israel. That includes thousands of bombs and missiles. The sale comes as a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas holds, even as President Trump continues to tout his widely criticized proposal to move all Palestinians from Gaza and redevelop it as an international travel destination. Meantime, Trump signed an executive order to review and potentially roll back Biden-era gun policies. It directs the Attorney General to evaluate regulations, international agreements, and actions by agencies related to gun violence prevention during Biden's term. The AG has 30 days to present a plan of action to the president.
Starting tomorrow, the Boy Scouts of America will become Scouting America. The rebrand was announced last year and coincides with the group's 115th anniversary on Saturday. The organization says this is part of its ongoing efforts to welcome every youth and family in the U.S. to experience the benefits of scouting. 2,000 law enforcement officers have been deployed throughout New Orleans as they work to secure Super Bowl 59.
That's right. Security is always tight, but as Sherelle Hubbard reports, that's especially true this year as the president is expected to attend. Homeland Security has designated the game with the highest security tier assigned by federal authorities.
Before the Eagles and Chiefs square off, they'll meet midfield for the most watched coin flip of the season.
Yeah, whether it's heads or tails, one thing is for sure, the coin is coming from right here in Central Florida. The Highland in Melbourne is in charge of making the official Super Bowl coin. They've provided the coin since Super Bowl 28 in 1994. They make 10,000 every season for the Super Bowl. 100 go to the NFL. The other 9,900 are sold to the public.
Well, it's ours. Right? It's something that we do. It's ours as a community also in Melbourne, but it's something that we had a hand in making, and to me, that's the best part of the game.
Last year, the coin was flipped twice because the game went into overtime. And meantime, advertisers are paying record amounts to show off their brands during the Super Bowl's commercials.
NBC's Jesse Kirsch explains why companies are spending so much as traditional television is losing viewers to streaming.
All right.
Some classics there.
Very much so. All right. Duracell, the Energizer Bunny, getting some competition too.
I know. I can't believe they even need to advertise for products that are so well known, but I guess they don't have to.
I don't know.
They want to.
All right. Whether it's those commercials, the game, or the halftime show, you probably don't want to miss any of it.
No. Super Bowl 59 kicks off at 6:30 on Sunday night. Still ahead, a woman's mission to share Black history rooted deep in Volusia County.
This place is a learning place. And you can't get this no place else.
A small piece of New Smyrna Beach designed to make a big impact on our community. We'll take you inside the Mary S. Harrell Black Heritage Museum. Marquise.
And near record-setting temperatures are set to filter into Central Florida throughout the upcoming work week, but so will your next cold front, which might just cool you down. I'll track it all out coming up after the break.
What do you want to watch?
Big Bang.
It's one of my all-time favorites.
Sounds like a party.
Bang, bang. The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah, this is it.
Weeknights at 7, only on CW18. CW18's Happy Hours. Weeknights starting at 5, only on CW18.
Collecting, organizing, and sharing the African-American history of New Smyrna Beach is the mission of the Mary S. Harrell Black Heritage Museum.
Yeah, they're a small but mighty group telling the story of how the city's historically black West Side came to be. So we went to the museum to tell theirs. The museum is free to visit. Later this month, it'll host the 32nd Annual Black Heritage Festival at Pettis Park, just around the corner. You can find more details on that and the museum on WESH.com.
Great story, Jesse. Thank you for bringing that to us. Marquise, you're bringing us a very hot and foggy forecast.
Yeah, but at least we're gonna have some sunshine over the course of the weekend, into the work week too. So we'll be rain-free for quite a while. In fact, we don't see any rain in the forecast until Thursday. So the dry weather continues, but so does our hot streak. I will say though, Central Florida probably one of the best places to host a Super Bowl party. Highs on Sunday, those are back in the low and mid 80s. By the time we have the kickoff going on, we'll be in the upper 70s, cooling down to the low 60s overnight. As we continue across the work week, sunshine will be a common theme for us here in Central Florida. 84 degrees on Monday, 85 on Tuesday, and we just keep raising the bar. We'll be walking close to record-setting numbers on Thursday, 87 for your high right here in Orlando. Then we cool on Friday with our next front moving in. We'll talk about that in just a second, but what's moving in tonight is the fog, unfortunately. We have that here in Daytona Beach. You can see it, as a matter of fact, on our tower cam, where temperatures show 61 degrees, your dew point at 60 on the dot, with a relative humidity of 97%. So taking a look at our visibility map here, we actually see some of the fog around the I-75 corridor, Wildwood, Ocala. You guys both have visibility restrictions, and we're seeing those same numbers across Titusville as well. The reason why we're trending humid as temperatures are slowly dropping back into the 60s, well, that's where our dew points have been all throughout the day. And now as we cool, we'll see that fog move in, coming in from the east across I-95. So take a look at your 12-hour forecast in Daytona Beach. Cloudy skies will remain in the picture. We'll see those temperatures hover right around 61 degrees. And then as we move throughout the day tomorrow, we are back on the rise. You notice that we jump into the mid-70s by 12 o'clock. Inside the metro, your pool forecast looks pristine. Barely even a cloud in sight as the sunshine will be shining through, and we'll see those temperatures rising all the way into the lower 80s. 83 for your high for many places, from Ocala all the way down to St. Cloud. A little bit cooler though across the coastline, of course. 78 for Palm Coast tomorrow, 79 in Daytona Beach, and 79 in New Smyrna as well. As we move into the work week though, temperatures slowly slide into the middle of the 80s on Monday, that record being 87 degrees, and will eventually reach the upper 80s as the work week continues on Wednesday and Thursday still to come. With that system of high pressure moving out towards the north and the east, consistent sunshine will get us there. 86 on Wednesday, 87 degrees on Thursday, but for those of us who don't like the heat and want to cool down, that happens late in the work week heading into Friday and Saturday. So here's what we're talking about. We can see it here on our water vapor map. We do watch this frontal boundary here, that separation between the bright oranges and the whites here on the map. That's going to indicate a frontal boundary moving in on Friday. And we have another one moving in on the following weekend still to come. So cooler weather will lie ahead on your following work week. But before we get there, it's just heat and sunshine from Saturday all the way through next Thursday before we finally cool down by next Friday.
All right, Marquise, we are talking sports tonight. I know we have a big game on Sunday, but we also need to talk about the Magic.
Yeah, they're coming back home.
Yeah, finally, right?
Yeah.
After 6 straight road games, they come back off of a road trip to forget. We'll hear from Jamal Mosley. His message to the team as they get set for the Spurs tomorrow. Plus, that big game Michelle was talking about. We got plenty of Central Florida flair in the big game. Why Jalen Carter could just be ready to go for the Super Bowl Sunday. The latest from New Orleans next.
You're watching Central Florida's CW18.
Now, WESH 2 Sports on CW18. Sponsored by attorney Dan Newland.
On track to play. Hello, everybody. I'm Darren Stoltzfus. Sunday in New Orleans at Super Bowl 59, Apopka High grad Jalen Carter will be one of 4 Central Florida products playing in that big game. Carter and Jalix Hunt making their Super Bowl debut for the Eagles, while Cocoa High grads C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Juwan Taylor will now make it 5 straight years a former Cocoa Tiger has played in the Super Bowl. What a night. I mean, a Hall of Fame career for all 3 of those guys, obviously, but to be able to be there and celebrate it for the 2 of the 3, that's special.
How special. Are we talking Super Bowl very quickly? Prediction? What do you got?
I'll take the Chiefs. They're just inevitable.
Inevitable? Okay.
I think so.
And we know who Marquise is going for, right?
Well, here's the thing. If I was a betting man, I'd probably put money on the Chiefs, but I really just want to see them lose.
Oh. I feel like a lot of people are with you. They've had it 3 years in a row. This is the third year?
This would be the third. Nobody's ever done it.
Okay.
You know what? I rooted for the Chiefs last year, so I'm going to go with the Eagles this year.
Okay. I feel like I'll go with the Eagles. You've convinced me, Marquise.
I feel like you guys are wearing the wrong colors, but we're wearing them for the right reason.
This is for something else.
Yes.
This is Go Red for Women's Day. All right, Marquise, help us out the door in the morning.
Just a little bit foggy as you wake up, but that fog will lift as temperatures rise. We'll be back in the lower 80s tomorrow in the afternoon. Lots of sunshine, not just tomorrow, but as we kick off the work week as well.
All right. Thank you, Marquise. Have a good night, everybody.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for watching WESH 2 News and trusting First Warning Weather. Certified Central Florida's most accurate forecast 17 years straight.